Hello, my name is Alan Foom, and today I'm going to talk about how gas boilers and central heating has saved British lives. Looking at the analysis of excess deaths in the winter that was done by the Energy Matters blog. So let's have a look and see what a valuable contribution gas central heating has to UK safety. So this is an analysis that was done by the late Roger Andrews for the Energy Matters blog, so that's youandmeans.com. Very much recommend looking at that, although they've been a lot less active lately. Most UK excess deaths are in the winter. So January, February, March, December, that's when more people die than die in the summer. The key factor within that is indoor temperature, what effect that has. And that's determined by the heating. Now, excess deaths in the UK have fallen since the 1970s, and indoor temperatures have risen due to adoption of gas central heating. And the British government, in its infinite wisdom, plans to phase out gas central heating and replace it with electric systems such as heat pumps, which are more expensive, less effective. So this is analysis that Roger did on excess winter deaths in the UK. So this is a line showing deaths throughout, averaging 2010-2017, deaths in 2018, where we had a particularly bad winter, and average temperatures. So, and what you can see, and he's done extra analysis on his blogs, that there's a very good correlation between temperatures and excess deaths. So on average, about 6,000 people die in more people die in January than die in July. Cold kills. Many old people, many weak people. There are excess deaths and heat waves, but there's significantly less of them. But heat waves are obviously a problem. So if you're looking at excess winter deaths over in the UK over the period 1950 to 2014, you can see a significant decline, obviously with ups and downs based on cold winters. There's a spike in the early 1960s during the cold winter of 1963, and you're moving from potentially 100,000 or thereabouts extra deaths a winter to in the 20s. So what's been happening? Well, first of all, we've had better housing and heating, a wealthier population that can afford to pay for heating, and better healthcare. So overall, a good news story. Let's keep it up. So how do people die? And again, this analysis that Roger did based on the Office of National Statistics. And the main killer are respiratory diseases. Influenza, lower pulmonary circulatory diseases, other diseases of the respiratory system. Also, an important contributor are cardiovascular diseases, circulatory diseases, and also dementia. Again, people who have got dementia, elderly people who cannot properly take care of themselves. And a key factor is the indoor room temperature. Indoor temperature above 25 degrees. So if you have your heating up full blast, don't know many people that do, but you potentially are at risk of cardiovascular diseases, heart attacks. Same thing happens if you have it extremely cold. So if your temperature is extremely cold, that's an extra risk that you have. But the main killer, respiratory risk, starts at about 16 degrees Celsius. So that's the threshold you really worry about. And you can see on this histogram, so that's percentage of households against the indoor temperature, that a substantial minority of the population still have their houses very cold because they can't afford to heat them. Energy poverty is a serious problem in the UK. So what's been happening in terms of changes in indoor temperatures? Again, 1970 to 2010, again, Roger's analysis, had a steady rise. North Sea gas came along, central heating, warmer homes. And now this is a 16-degree threshold, so the average home since about 1990 has been above 16 degrees in terms of the indoor temperature, above the safety threshold. Excess deaths have fallen. How do people heat their homes in the UK? Generally, most heating in the UK is by gas central heating, about 85% of the population. Electric heating is about 8%, generally tends to be more modern flats, more modern apartments that tend to be electrically heated. Then you've also got district heating. Again, that's a bit of a rarity in the UK relative to some other countries. Remember working in Kazakhstan where the mayor would ceremonially switch the district heating on every October and ceremonially switch it off every March whether it needed to or not. That doesn't really happen in the UK. And then oil fuel in remote areas which are not connected to gas. There's also some solid fuel. Some people use it as a mainstream, but that's quite rare. But a lot of people have wood-burning stoves or other, standard chimneys. But they use more of that as a lifestyle extra, as a decorative. And who doesn't like a warm fire? What's been happening in the last 20 odd years? So that's 1996 to 2014. Again, 1996, we already had most of the central heating revolution. So 72% of homes had central heating. A few still had the traditional gas bar fires. I remember having one of those when I was a child. And so much nicer with central heating. Again, electrical heating has declined a little bit, and also oil heating has declined a little bit as there's solid fuel heating. So gas keeps Britain warm, keeps Britain safe. What if we all go electric, as the government suggests? Well, there is a country who already does that, France. And France has most of its electricity come from nuclear power, over 80%. They made that decision in the 1960s, 1970s. World leader in nuclear power. It's very reliable. Unlike wind and solar, which may well break down during an anticyclone or some other situation where they may not be able to deliver the electricity that we need to keep ourselves warm, to keep ourselves lit. And also French electricity prices are a bit lower than the UK. I've had a look at several analyses. They all kind of vary a bit, but it's about 20-25% less. Obviously, they tend to use more of it, but France tends to be a warmer country. So you can see this graph. The light blue is the general electricity consumption in France. You can see daily and weekly changes, and the purple is the electricity consumption used for heating. And you can see that during the coldest time, it can increase to 80-90% of the base load. And you have to heat that on, because if you don't, people will freeze. Now, the French manage it due to their nuclear power. And yes, that's a reasonable alternative solution. If you look at Norway, they use electric space heating too, but they're mainly powered by hydro. Again, very reliable. So what's going to happen? The excess winter deaths are a serious problem. The UK government's going to phase out gas central heating in Britain, bans new boilers after 2035, part of its net zero strategy. In the UK, home heating is a significant contributor to UK CO2 emissions, about 20-21%. Again, figures vary. 85% of homes are heated by gas, so that's a lot of homes. That's a lot of UK housing stock that may need to have its heating system replaced. Now, they're talking about ground source heat pumps, air source heat pumps, storage heating, etc. Now, the heat pumps have got particular issues. They cost a lot of money, £15,000 to install and run, and a lot more to run. And the average Brit doesn't have that sort of money. UK people with savings, homeowners, the average savings rate's about £8,000 a year, which is not £8,000 all told, which is not a lot of money. Now, new technology might improve costs. You might get economies of scale. Prices might come down. It's possible, but the heat pumps aren't as good and they're expensive. So what will this policy lead to? Energy poverty. It's fine for very wealthy people, but half of Britain struggles to pay its electricity bills, and 15% are in absolute energy poverty, where they're choosing between heating and eating. If we go back to the situation, no new technology, no fall in price, we'll have more excess deaths. Poorer people who can't afford to heat things. Older people and ethnic minorities. A black person like me, I like to have the heating a bit higher up because I need warmth. Gas central heating saves lives. So remember, gas boilers, central heating, save British lives, save our boilers.